How does it feel to be a loser? David laughed from the head of the table like he owned it. My daughter giggled beside him. Even my wife cracked a grin. Forks paused. Wine glasses hovered mid-air. Everyone laughed, except me. I looked up from my plate, met his eyes, smiled. How does it feel to know that this loser will no longer pay your bills? The moment those words left my mouth, his face drained, colorless, like I'd just pulled the ground out from under him. He blinked, once, twice, then sat very, very still. I met David 5 years ago. He was charming, sharp-dressed, polished like a mirror, but hollow underneath. He had ambition, he said, dreams, but no job, no savings, no real spine. Still, when my daughter brought him home, I gave him a handshake and a chance. He told me he wanted to be part of the family. I believed him. So I opened doors, introduced him to contacts, wrote checks when rent was short, tuition was late, or life was just too unfair. At first it felt good, helping, providing. I'd built my life from scratch, brick by brick, and I thought I was handing him the blueprint. But he never built. He just drained. Then came the whispers. He'd make jokes when I wasn't in the room, called me old school, soft, out of touch. He joked that I'd never really made it, that I just got lucky. Said it with a laugh, like it was harmless. Until I overheard him once. He didn't know I was in the hallway. Didn't know the baby monitor had a two-way feed. He told my daughter, "He's just a wallet with a heartbeat. I play nice, we get paid." She didn't argue. She just said, "Don't rock the boat." That was the crack, the first fracture. And I let it sit, let it spread. But I started watching, quietly. Months passed. I reviewed my accounts, found the transfers. He'd set up auto payments from our shared family trust, meant for my grandkids' future. Thousands. For luxury gyms, private clubs, online crypto investments. I stayed silent, not because I was weak, but because I was readying. First, I called my lawyer, had the trust frozen, redrafted, rewritten so only I controlled the disbursement. Next, I rewrote the deed to the house they lived in, titled solely under my daughter's name, conditional to her financial independence. No freeloaders allowed. Then I cut the lifeline. No more payments. No more safety net. But I didn't say a word. Not yet. I waited for the right night, the right table, the right smug little joke. And he gave it to me, right in front of my family, my wife, my children, my grandchildren. "How does it feel to be a loser?" he said, swirling a $90 bottle of wine I paid for. And when I smiled and answered, everything inside him collapsed. He didn't speak, didn't laugh, didn't even blink. I stood, slowly, pulled a small envelope from my coat pocket, laid it beside his plate. Inside, the cancellation notice of their utilities, the revoked car lease, the foreclosure warning, signed, sealed, timed. I nodded toward it. "You'll want to read that before dessert." He reached for it like it was radioactive, hands shaking, eyes flicking between the lines. My daughter leaned in, her lips parted, then closed again. "I gave you everything," I said, calm, clear, "and you laughed at me with my own money in your pocket." He opened his mouth. I raised a hand. "No, you don't get to explain. Not here, not now." My voice was low, but the silence it created was loud. "I may be a lot of things, David, but I'm not a fool. Not anymore." He stood, slowly, tried to speak, but the room had turned. The same people who laughed with him now avoided his eyes. Even my daughter didn't move to help him, didn't stop me, didn't say anything. He walked out with that envelope still in his hand. didn't even say goodbye. And when the door closed, I finally took a breath. The kind of breath you take after years underwater. Later that night, my grandson asked me, "Grandpa, are you really a loser?" I chuckled. "No," I said. "I'm the one who taught a lesson." Revenge didn't taste sweet. It tasted quiet, clean, like wiping a table after someone spills wine and calls it art. They say silence is power. I disagree. Control is power. Timing, patience, knowing exactly when to strike, and doing it with precision. He laughed at me once. Now, I doubt he'll laugh at anyone again. Because the thing about losers is, they have nothing to lose and everything to take back.